This is from ESPN.com. It's tiers of who's contending and who's rebuilding in 2025. And the Browns are in the stuck in QB purgatory tier with the Raiders, which is not the lowest tier. Average age of roster, 27.1. Salary cap space, they're 66.6 over. Now, they are going to push $50 million and roll over $50 million from last year, so that's not as bad as it looks. 9 projected draft picks, and what's next? Where do you start? Browns face critical offseason. That's an understatement. Roster is void of a viable quarterback option. Myles Garrett wants a trade. The pressure is on after a 3-win campaign. A roster that entered 2024 as the league's top 10 greatly underperformed, and it leaves the Browns floating between rebuilding and resetting. Right there, that in a nutshell is what it is. They have to take a realistic look and a hard look and say, how bad is our roster, and is it as bad as 3 wins, or did we woefully underperform? Who can bounce back and who can't? And you got to be right. If you're not right, there's going to be a new regime in here.
Yeah, and I think when you look at just how badly 2024 played out, I think it goes back to like what I was saying earlier. The offense was bad, and the quarterback play was the worst in the NFL. I think if you look at one of those advanced stats people talk about, expected points added per play, the Browns had the 2 worst quarterbacks in the NFL in that department, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was the worst, and then Deshaun Watson, second worst, and then Jameis Winston, who was the best of all of them. I think he was still a slight negative in that category. He was outside the top 32 of guys that played at least 100 snaps in 2024. So when all 3 of your quarterbacks are on average taking away points per game, I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson is about negative 0.36. So on a 3 and out, he's costing you a point, basically. And I mean, putting them in quarterback purgatory is pretty much right. I mean, the fact that the play was just so bad from the position, particularly, the first 7 games when Deshaun Watson was playing, that they couldn't get above 20 points. They just couldn't move the ball against anybody. Bad defenses like the Raiders and the Bengals were shutting them down for the beginning part of the season. Like I said, it's a trickle-down effect, and just the fact that the offense was so broken, again, worst scoring offense in the NFL, worst in net passing yards per attempt last season. You got to fix the offense. I mean, when you have one half of your team that is completely non-functional, and the offense was just non-functional in all of 2024, you're just not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, the offense, without question, historically bad, needs playmakers, may need some offensive line help, and definitely needs a quarterback. One thing Browns fans know is quarterback purgatory. They've been there since the franchise came back in 99, minus probably a year and a half with Baker Mayfield.